Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lex Talks, where we discuss Dubai's legal and business topics. And I'm Miraziz, and today I have with me Mohammed, who is an experienced real estate agent from Lex Estates. Mohammed, welcome to our channel.
Thank you so
today
much.
we will discuss a very important topic, which is buying property in Dubai's secondary market.
Yeah, sure.
So let's start from the basics. What is secondary market?
Yeah, sure. Basically, in Dubai property market, there is a primary and secondary market. Primary market, usually properties from developers, which is usually under construction. We call it off-plan. The secondary market is usually ready properties. You can say in a word like not brand new. So usually they are ready properties owned by somebody, not by developer. So usually this type of property is tenanted by somebody. So somebody is staying on a short-term or long-term basis. So yeah, basically secondary market is ready properties that you can move in and you can start living immediately.
So primary is from developer, and secondary is from, let's say,
private owner.
Private owners.
Private owner, yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So as I understand, buying from the developer differs from buying in the secondary market. So can you explain the process? How does it look like, buying in the secondary market?
Yeah, sure. So if we talk about secondary market purchase, or in other words, deals, for example, if a buyer likes the property and negotiate the price and decides to buy, the first thing we do is we do the due diligence. So we make sure that the current owner is the rightful owner as per the DLD, because we can check that through the DLD website to make sure that he's the owner, and to make sure that he has no any mortgages or he has no any legal cases against him.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that. So once the due diligence is complete, and then we proceed with the SPA, is a sales and purchase agreement. So in that, all the terms and conditions for the seller and buyer will be entered, like even the initial deposit. For example, the buyer has to pay 10% deposit upon signing the SPA. So all the terms and conditions about the property size and details, deposit amount will be entered. So this is where both parties have to sign. As I said, the buyer has to pay 10% deposit as a commitment fee, and the seller will also sign that he agrees to sell at this price.
Mm-hmm.
So the SPA is one of the most important. So I want to address back to you with your legal expertise, if you can advise, and for me and for the audience, like, what are the most important areas the buyer should focus before signing the SPA? So if you can just highlight some important points so that, it's also useful for me.
Sure. Usually, from the legal perspective, generally speaking, SPA is pretty standard. It's developed by Dubai Land Department, as you know. The brokers fill the details of the parties, details of the property, and then the terms and conditions, let's say standard terms and conditions, are already written there. When the SPA is generated from the Land Department's Dubai Rest app, you will see the basic details and also standard terms and conditions. But also under standard terms and conditions, there will be special terms and conditions, which parties can basically add based on their situation.
Okay.
So this part has to be really carefully checked, what kind of special conditions are being added. And also the buyers need to pay attention to the penalty clauses. Like if the buyer, for example, is going to violate, what are the penalties to the buyer and to the seller at the same time. Usually, in practice, the buyer loses his 10% deposit. If there is a violation from buyer side, and also if there is a violation from seller side, seller has to pay 10% compensation to the buyer. This has to be specifically, clearly mentioned in the contract. And another point is the buyer need to be sure about the status of the property. If it is tenanted, the buyer has to check the tenancy contract and for how long this tenancy contract was entered. Because sometimes, the buyers, they want to buy it for their own use. But if it's occupied by existing tenant, there should be already legal notice in place to evict this existing tenant. And it has to be done by the seller prior to transferring the property to the buyer. If it was not done, then buyer has to issue another eviction notice, which will again delay the eviction period. So I would say from the legal side, yes, these are the things that buyer need to pay attention. And of course, you mentioned initially very important point, which is a due diligence. Due diligence is very important to check the property if it has any, blockage, or if there is any sort of, mortgage, or if there is any case involved. So these are very important. And involving a broker, yes, it's good, because brokers also, they do some sort of limited due diligence. However, if, let's say, the property value is very high, if the risk is high, let's say, it's better to involve a lawyer or convincing specialist to do proper due diligence. So coming back to this process, I know many buyers, they involve also mortgage.
Yes, correct.
So, and I'm sure there is difference when the mortgage is involved. So can you explain how the mortgage process goes on?
Yeah, definitely. So this is the next step I was going to talk about. And thanks for the legal insight on the SPA. It is very useful. It comes the next stage, which is the mortgage, or the next is NOC from developer. So if we talk about the mortgage, so if buyer wants to buy the property using a mortgage, then the bank will require some documents and will do a property valuation. So against the borrowing amount of the buyer. So they will make sure that property is evaluated, and asking the borrowing amount is as per their property value. After bank does the property valuation and confirms, and then they can give a final offer letter to the buyer to proceed with a mortgage. So mortgage usually for a residence is 80% of the property value, non-residence 65% of the property value. So in this case, property, if a buyer is a resident of UAE, of Dubai, for example, he only pays the 20%, and 80% will be paid by the bank. And for that 80%, he will have a final offer letter in hand, so he can use it during the transfer. Once this mortgage is set, if person buying through mortgage, of course, if buying through cash is easy. So if buying through mortgage, so final offer letter will be in hand. And the second, before we go to Dubai Land Department, which is trustee office, to do the transfer, we have to get NOC from developer. So basically, property is constructed by a developer and is being managed by a developer. So we have to get no objection certificate from developer that the current owner has no outstanding service charges and has no any legal cases against them, so that they can issue the NOC to proceed. So before moving to title deed transfer, the property transfer, I wanted to ask you, from my experience, there was a lot of cases where the developers, they delay to issue the NOC, even though the property owners has no any liabilities, has no outstanding fees, they still delay. So in this case, legally, how the property owner can approach the developer through DLD or directly to make sure that they can get the NOC on right time?
At the moment, there is a system called Mollak in the Dubai Land Department. And if there are any outstanding service charges, the owners, they can settle directly through the application on Mollak application, and they can get cleared from there, and they can proceed with the transfer.
Okay.
And of course, mostly, let's say, well-established, reputed developers, they wouldn't delay it unnecessarily. There should be some reason, for example. So maybe outstanding service charges or outstanding payments to developers for any reason, But if the developer is already well established, reputed, they have already clear, efficient system in issuing NOCs. There could be issues with some smaller or new developers who don't have, let's say, 100% efficient, proper system. So it depends on the developer, of course. And if the developer is delaying unnecessarily without any reason, the person can file a complaint with the Dubai department against that particular developer.
Understand.
Yeah. So you mentioned about coming back to the mortgage. You mentioned about for residents, the banks can approve 80%, and for non-residents 65%.
Right.
Usually, what are the criteria? What are the things that the banks look at, to approve the mortgage?
Yeah. So first of all, they should be resident. For example, if we talk about residents, the second of all, they should have a minimum salary of 15,000 from the company. They should provide proof on the offer letter that, on the labor contract, that they are receiving such amount of salary. So, and of course, there are some check which is done by the bank as per their due diligence will be carried out. But most importantly, for the bank, most important thing, if the borrower can return the loan.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, the most important thing is the company that they're working for, is it listed in their list, and are they receiving the minimum salary?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're receiving, then yes. If the borrower is a company owner, then they look at the company's balance sheet, basically the profitability, profit and loss statement. If the company is generating good income and is already fitting as per the bank standards that the borrower can return, so they can return.
Okay.
So
as I understand, the banks will look at the profile of the client, whether he is going to pay it back on time without issues. And if it's a salaried person, they check the bank statement, salary certificate, and the company, whether it's listed. If it's a business owner, they check the business
profile,
revenues and profits, and etc. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. And for non-residents, they can approve 65%. They're not residents here. So what are the criteria? What usually they check?
So for non-residents, so they check the background of the client, where they come from. And the same case as UAE, if they're salaried, is it up to 15,000 dirhams value are they earning in a foreign country?
More than 15,000.
More than 15,000, exactly. So if the company owners, the business owners, are they profitable? So basically they check almost the similar, but from different country.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, the process of getting as a non-resident is much longer. So because, of the foreign country policies and different companies where the documents can be fabricated. So bank will do proper enhanced due diligence to make sure all the papers being received from outside are correct. And then they can decide to approve or reject, which is, as I said, it takes much longer. But there are clients on my list who got approval, and there are clients who got rejection.
Okay. All right. So can you explain about the charges, apart from the purchase price?
Yeah.
What are the charges, other charges? There is a government fee, there is brokerage fee, and etc.
Yeah.
How much, is going to be?
For example, if a person buying a property for 1 million dirhams, for example, so he has to pay 4% Dubai Land Department fee. It's a government fee. It's a one-time fee that's paid to the Dubai Land Department. Other than 4%, there is an administration fee, which is approximately 4,000 to 5,000 dirhams, which is paid in the trustee office. And on top of that, there is a broker fee. The agent fee is usually 2% or fixed amount. So it depends on the negotiation, but generally is either 2% or a fixed agreed amount with the buyer or the seller. So these are the most common costs that the buyers will face.
Okay, and other than that, there are no taxes.
There is no property taxes. There is no profit taxes on the property. There is no rental taxes on the property. There is no yearly taxes. So basically, only the service charge will be paid as per the square feet of the property they will be paying. It ranges from 14 dirhams till 18 dirhams per square feet, depending on the location and the building. per square feet they will be paying. But still, this amount can be easily recovered if the owner rents out to a tenant, and basically tenant will pay this service charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we discussed about the process, buying cash and also involving mortgage. So the final stage, in both cases, partners need to go to trustee office to do the actual transfer.
Exactly.
Can you explain how does it look like? What happens there at the trustee office?
Definitely. So once all the due diligence is done, SPA between buyer and seller is signed, and all the NOC from developers obtained, if the property is being bought through mortgage, final approval is gotten from the bank, then it comes a big day, which is going to trustee office in Dubai Land Department. And so what happens here is the buyer and seller will come to sign the final sale contract in front of the trustee person. So here, the buyer has to come with remaining balance in manager check, so which we can discuss later about manager check. So basically, is a check which contains the balance amount where the seller can withdraw. So they will come on a trustee office. So after confirming, after reading all the terms conditions of the final SPA, they will sign the contract, and the buyer will hand over the manager check, which is 90%, because 10% was paid initially, so 90% will be paid. So after the payment is done, and then within some time, the title will be transferred on the new owner, and the new owner will receive the new title deed immediately on the spot. Mm-hmm. So from then on, transfer is complete. Mm-hmm. So the deal can be closed.
Okay. So you mentioned about manager check.
Yeah.
So the payment mode has to be with manager check.
Yes.
Okay. So what is manager check? Is it signed by manager? How it, or why it's called manager check?
Yeah, the manager check is usually the buyer will request the bank manager to issue a check against his fund on the bank. So the bank will froze that amount, whatever the purchase amount, and will issue a check against that amount. This is the most secure check that will not bounce or will be rejected or so ever, because it is already by the bank manager confirming that there is a fund on the buyer's account and it's frozen against this person that is addressed in the check. So this is the manager check.
So it's guaranteed check.
It's guaranteed
basically.
check. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. So to make the deal secure.
So
the trustee office require manager check.
Yeah.
So the seller eventually will receive his payment for sure.
For sure. Yes. Guaranteed. Yeah.
Exactly. So that means the buyer has to have an account already, bank account.
Yes. Buyer has to have account.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
And the buyers who do not have bank account?
Who do not have account, there are some agencies, including at Lex Estates, we can support our clients with the same, where we receive the fund and we issue the check on behalf of Lex Estate to the seller. So we can help our clients if they are non-resident, they don't have bank account.
So for just to clarify for our audience, if the buyer does not have a bank account, he can use agencies like law firms, conveyancing companies, or the real estate agencies. Where the buyer will transfer funds to their account, and that company having a local bank account will issue manager check on behalf of the buyer.
Yes,
basically.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, Muhammad. Last but not least, what are the tips you would give to property investors who are planning to, buy property, or who already bought, maybe at the initial stage? So, what are the tips you would recommend?
Number one tip, I would recommend you to be in touch with you and to use your services and your expertise and your skills whenever they're doing any kind of transfer. Because as I said, there will be stage of due diligence where the legal firms are required, legal expertise is required. There will be stage of SPA. As you mentioned, that a certain terms should be addressed and should be carefully revised before signing. The additional terms and the standard terms should the buyer should be able to differentiate, and also violations, as you mentioned it, that can happen between buyer and sellers, where they need to focus and what are their rights, and they should focus on. So it's better they hire a lawyer and they work with a lawyer. So at Lex Estates, we are backed up with a law firm. Because we are a group of company and we are backed up with a law firm. So this kind of due diligence and all the SPA contract reviewing can be done in-house. So unlike our agencies, I can say this is our USP, unique selling point, proposition, that we can offer legal-based brokerage service in the real estate. So yeah, I would say if you work with us, you don't need to hire a lawyer because we are backed up with a law firm. So we can take care of all your legal rights if you're a property owner. And other tips is just work with the right broker. So the rest will be taken care of.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the legal perspective, I would add, do proper due diligence on the property, check, if title deed is valid, and also check the contract terms, as you mentioned, and also be realistic, about the transfer dates. For example, if you agree on transfer date in the SPA, and if you cannot, pay on time on the transfer date, then there is, risk of losing this 10%. So yeah, that was a great conversation. Thank you, Mohammed, for your insights. Hope we will discuss other topics in our next episodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you too for your legal insight as well. Hope to see you soon.
Okay. For our audience, thank you so much for watching this episode, and please subscribe to our channel, and we are going to discuss about other legal topics related to real estate in the next coming episodes. Thank you so much.